Today, I'm going to show you a really simple prompting framework for creating content with AI that is repeatable, it's scalable, and it's really practical. And it's going to help you get results really fast. Now, I know if you do a search on YouTube, you will find a lot of results on the same type of presentation. But I'm going to put a little twist in this. One of the things I feel really strongly about is that AI is too focused on the technical terms. And there's a lot of people out there who talk about prompt engineering. And I'm going to challenge you to just remove that idea of engineering from your mind. I think AI and prompting and getting really good content is the same type of effort as using email or creating a Word document or using Google. It is available for all of us. And one of the big challenges that we have is that we've got a big barrier between the people who have developed this marvelous technology and they are brilliant. But as they pass this information down to the rest of the world, they're communicating it in technological terms that's really difficult to understand. I think we need to make that so much simpler. The framework that I'm going to show you today is just super easy. And it's nothing more than that. So if there's anybody else telling you that this is a complicated thing, just let it go and adopt this kind of thinking, and you're going to get really good outputs. And what you're going to find is there's no wrong way to do it, but there are lots of right ways to do it. So if you just start with this kind of framework, you can adapt it, and all of a sudden you will be unstoppable. So let's get into it. What I'm going to show you is this framework that consists of these 6 different terms. And we're going to go through them really quickly, but it's simple. So when we develop prompts, we need to tell AI what we want. When you deal with AI, I want you to think about just talking to somebody in a conversational way. And in your mind, imagine, this is what I want you to do for me. Here's what it should look like. Now, what's really key to note, though, is that there are some things that are more important for AI to understand than others. And you can play with this, but this is how I look at it. When you tell it what you want it to do and you give some background information, that is really high importance. And when you get into style and tone, it is not as critical to telling AI what you want. So I look at it this way. The command is mandatory, context and example, very important. And then role and style and tone can be optional depending on what you're trying to create. And as these AI models get more and more competent, you'll find that they will infer so much of what you're trying to get done. You won't always need to include everything. You're just getting that much better. So let's talk about these in order. Command, I talked about it being the most important. This is where you tell AI specifically what you want and use details. I've got some words up here like write, generate, create, and analyze. And then if you can articulate what you want specifically, you're going to get that. So for writing social posts, if you want to write a whole week's worth, articulate that you want a post for each day of the week, Monday through Friday. Or if you want a newsletter, articulate how many paragraphs it should be. Should it have bullet points? What type of opening should it have? These are all explicit bits of information that you're telling AI. So it doesn't make assumptions, because it will make assumptions and it will do it with a very high level of confidence. And you're going to get something that looks good, but may not be correct, or it may not be what you want. So the more that you get specific, it's going to follow your direction. I got a really easy example down here at the bottom, and this is a really powerful prompt on its own for anybody who records their meetings, because now you can take your meeting transcript and you can write in this prompt, analyze the transcript from our meeting, summarize the takeaways, and then list all of the to-do and action items from the meeting. Now think about it. There are a lot of products right now on the market, and that is part of their features that they sell. You can get the same type of output from AI if you just build this into your workflow. You may not need a separate paid product to get those type of outputs. Now let's move on to context. And this one I think is often overlooked and really critical. It When you add context to the situation, it gives AI a much better understanding of what you need. I often will give a framework like this where I give a background. I have a transcript from a meeting, or here's what success looks like. This is a 2-page meeting summary, or what is the situation? We're going to share this with our team after each meeting. AI will very clearly understand the situation, and that it will help it not only work with the explicit command that you've given it, it understands the why. So context is really important. If you are using your voice to text capabilities on your computer or your phone, it's really easy to add context. Examples. This is one of the best ways to make sure that your content doesn't look like AI generated content. Provide examples and provide frameworks. Tell AI the model of what it should look like. For example, if you're writing a new LinkedIn bio statement to go with your LinkedIn profile, you're going to write in things like, hey, I'm a vice president at this company and I've been in sales for 20 years and so on. And if you go look at some profiles, you'll see that they're really boring. That's how we learn to write profiles. We learned it from writing resumes. If you tell AI to rewrite the profile, and I want it to be in this format where I am this title at this company and I help X people by doing Y that gets results in Z, and you tell it what each letter means. X represents your target customers and Y represents my actions, and Z represents the outcomes. AI understands that framework and will build it in that model. The same thing if you're writing product descriptions or product marketing. AI understands how to write product descriptions for Amazon or for Facebook Marketplace. So you tell it, here's the context of what I'm doing. I'm writing a product description for Amazon Marketplace for eBay. And it understands that. Now let's move on to role. We talked about this in some other videos, but basically you're telling AI that I want you to behave and act as an expert in X. And you can get pretty explicit. This is one of those areas where I think AI is getting better at inferring the type of role it should have. But I invite you to play around with it. And what I've found is that when I change the term of how much experience I want it to have, I get different outputs. So if I tell it, you are an online marketing expert with 25 years of writing ad copy, I will get different output if I just say you're an online marketing expert. That 25 years does tell AI to have a little bit more awareness about the level of copy it should produce. Style and format, really powerful. In terms of format, for example, if you are developing an email newsletter, you can be very explicit and say, hey, it should follow this format with a subject line, bullet points, list. One of the examples that I'm going to call out here that I use all the time is the list one. When I'm developing keywords for search terms that I put in my YouTube videos, I tell it to output a list of keyword search terms, single line, comma separated, no more than 500 characters, so it will fit in there. But the reason I do that is because it's much easier to copy and paste and go directly into YouTube Studio and then paste those terms in there. So it will adhere to your instructions. If you want it to have a certain format, you can tell it to put it in Markdown format. So that way you're going to get hierarchy, just like your H1 and H2 tags. So AI understands style and format. Now, lastly, we're going to get into tone. This is where you get it to output information in ways that sound friendly, authentic, warm. If you're writing content for a difficult topic, I've used the terms visceral, emotional. I've used the terms business formal. You can play around with it, but this is where you can turn on and off certain characteristics of what AI will sound like. And here's an example. If you don't have a tone, you can ask AI to develop a tone for you. So you can tell it who it's intended for. You can tell it a bunch of clues, and it will generate words that represent a tone style that you may want to use and put into your prompt. I don't think there's a wrong way to do this. I just think that once you find some words that align with your style, you're going to want to keep those and use them again. So let's put it together. I'm going to provide an example to close this out. And the example is I'm going to ask it to write a series of social media posts for a whole work week, Monday through Friday. I'm asking it to be a copywriting expert, social media expert with a lot of years of experience. And AI is super knowledgeable of frameworks that motivate people and capture attention and inspires action without relying on gimmicks. Think of somebody very senior who's been around for a long time and understands how to write copy. I've got some style information about how the language should look, and I've got a tone. And then this is what it's going to write about. So I'm giving it the background. Here's the context. And this is something that I put together a little while ago based off of conversations I've had with real life people about AI. And then finally, I'm giving it an example of what I want the post to look like. A strong starting phrase, a curiosity hook, or just an attention grabbing hook, a short statement and a little bit of a paragraph, 3 bullet points, and then a call to action. So now let's try this out and see what it produces. I've got a new conversation going. So I'm going to take everything I just talked about and I'm going to paste in pretty much everything that I had across those 3 different screens. What you're going to see is I'm quickly going to get a Monday through Friday set of social media posts. And it's that easy to get. Once you build the prompt out, you're going to get something that doesn't seem as obvious as written by AI. It still does require some editing, but it is not as clearly generic and bland AI talking. I could have easily said, I want 28 days of social media posts. But I think given the context that I had, there probably would have been a lot of repeat content in there. Now, what happens if we make just a small change and we put the same command in there again, but the only thing that we're changing is the tone? Pretend that you are at a dinner party in Downton Abbey, make this super formal and austere. What would that look like? And this is just to show you how dramatically the outputs can change just by changing one parameter.
Is AI merely the province of experts? Quite the contrary. One needn't be an expert to derive considerable benefit from AI.
And that gives you an idea of how unique you can make your content just by changing a few things in this simple prompting framework. So there's a lot here to play with. My hope for you is that you'll take this and realize now I can create content that doesn't obviously sound that it was generated by AI. As a matter of fact, I can create content that sounds more and more like me because I can put in examples of my own email newsletters, my own social media posts. I can have AI emulate those and make it sound like something I might have written. But for fun, now you can see what AI looks like when it's trying to represent what a dinner party would be in Downton Abbey talking about AI technology. I hope this was useful for you, and I'm really excited to see what you start to develop and create after watching this. And let me know in the comments and feedback what more you would like to see on this topic. Thanks.